Apple recently announced the iPhone 11 Pro, and it spent a lot of time talking about the camera. So should prosumers start taking this camera seriously? The answer may shock you. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? My name is Ty Turner, and if this is your first time on my channel is designed for content creators like yourself that's looking to turn their passion into profit. I like to call those guys contentpreneurs. So let's get right into it. Listen, today I sat through the keynote watching all the new great features about the iPhone and the iPhone Pro. And to me, I really felt like Apple was talking to me directly. You know, they spent a lot of time on the camera, and we're gonna go over the specs because I don't think the physical, tangible hardware is all that special. I think the software is what's going to be a game changer. So let's start with the three lenses that's on the back of the iPhone 11 Pro. You have your ultra wide, your wide, and your telephoto. Now, we're just gonna go over just a few specs with each particular lens because they matter, but that's not the big deal on why I feel like Apple is talking to people like you and I directly. Let's start with the ultra wide lens. It's coming off a 12 megapixel sensor, which pretty much all three have. When it comes to the wide lens, it has a 26 millimeter equivalent field of view at f1.8, which is great. That means it's gonna be really good in low light, pretty fast lens. The telephoto, it's typical that they will stay around the 50 millimeter range because that is probably everybody's favorite lens. And that's typically the lens that's closest to your vision. It's usually a 50 millimeter. All have image stabilization. Now, if you've watched the keynote, you know that Apple wasn't just out taking pictures of people playing in the grass with their kids. They were shooting movies with this thing. Like, they're going after the high-end clientele with this thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it will replace a Red or an Alexa anytime soon. However, if you have an iPhone and you're a filmmaker, there is no reason why you shouldn't be getting started on your project. There is no reason why you shouldn't choose that camera over nothing. You shouldn't be waiting until you get a better camera to start filming. What they're doing is amazing because they're starting to add technology to compensate for your lack of lighting, your lack of filmmaking. That is where it's a game changer because they're implementing technology that recognize faces, light faces differently. They have the ability to combine 3 different images at all time. Imagine every shot you took was an HDR shot in video. When it comes to photos, they're grabbing 9 pictures and choosing the most well-exposed pixel within that picture. So that means your dynamic range is going to be nuts. What would normally take, an HDR or image stacking on a traditional camera, it does for a regular picture. That's why, skin tones look so well. It's the technology behind the cameras that are making them catch up to traditional DSLRs. Don't get me wrong, you have a lot more flexibility on a traditional DSLR or a mirrorless camera. However, you don't have the ability to go in and look at skin tones and compare it a jillion times in a second to determine the correct exposure for a particular pixel on the screen where the iPhone does. And if you are sleeping on this technology, thinking it will never catch what you have now or the big camera you spent whatever thousands for, you need to wake up and wake up fast. This technology is coming. Don't be the guy still using film in 2010. Don't be that guy thinking that we're going to go back to film someday. At some point, you're going to show up to your client's shoot, possibly with an iPad or an iPhone to capture video. I've done it to capture B-roll shots with a quick gimbal, mixed it in, and you didn't really know. I'm not saying you didn't know, because there's a difference to my eye, but I can get away with some quick shots. Listen, if you are not good at lighting, at understanding light, at understanding camera movement, at understanding storytelling, you are not going to make it. I'd always say your number one rule to go into business or to determine whether or not you're good at this is your ability to outshoot an iPhone. And Apple's making it very difficult to outshoot an iPhone. Think about what the portrait mode has done for headshot photographers. It's a lot harder to convince someone to spend $250 for a headshot when they can just switch their phone into portrait mode, take a picture, and even though it's backlit or dark, the technology lights the face appropriately. Those are things that you have to think about on the business side of things. And it could be time to change your business model. Professional headshot photographers are losing money because of this feature. Go on LinkedIn right now and count how many professional headshots you see compared to iPhone headshots. The thing is, you may not be able to tell a difference. And, you may notice that there is a majority of just iPhone shots, and then the headshots, you're like, I don't know. So that is a market where it could be difficult and more difficult going into the future to survive in because of this technology. Those are things you need to be mindful of if you plan on making a living in this industry. It's not just on portrait shots. It's on video as well. They're starting to introduce technology that helps with lighting. And a real professional know it doesn't matter what camera you use if you don't know how to light a scene well. You can take a terrible camera and light a scene well, and your shots will look better than a guy who has, a red Epic shooting on bad lighting. Lighting is everything. And with Apple's taking the technology approach to fix that lighting in the camera, because they're snapping 3 different pictures at 3 different exposures at all time, that may pose a threat to people who don't quite get it. It's going to kill the bottom half of the industry. Think about it like this. They even show Filmic Pro, which is offering a multi-shot, a multi-camera switcher inside of the iPhone 11. Think about it. If you're a videographer or you have a company and you do testimonials or interviews, now they can put the iPhone in between them, film both cameras at the same time, have 3 angles facing this way, 1 angle facing the host, and edit it and switch it right inside the camera or right inside the iPhone. That took a multicam setup previously. That took thousands of dollars, and now it takes a $1,100 iPhone. And that doesn't even include the editing portion that is on the computer. You're editing it right on your iPhone, going straight to social media. So that bottom end of people in this industry who are trying to make it and can't really create the quality to separate themselves or attract the clientele that needs that quality, good night. It's going to be rough for you. You're going to be the first to suffer from the iPhone recession. And when you logically look at the iPhone and think about it, it has all of the features that you guys complain about or want. It, as of now, will have a really high dynamic range. They're saying they're doubling or almost doubling the dynamic range. Last time we checked, you were able to get 12 to 13 stops of dynamic range. If the iPhone can produce 15 stops of dynamic range, it's game over. You got built-in image stabilization. You have autofocus, which is as good, if not better, than dual pixel autofocus. It can latch and lock onto faces, even your pets now. So you can get small gimbal sliders and everything, action cam cases. It goes underwater. It does everything your current camera does, and it has a better monitor than any camera that's on the market. So those are things you really have to take into consideration. Yes, it has a super small sensor, but you may be able to overcome that super small sensor with some good technology, and they're bringing it, or by combining the image from 3 sensors. There's no telling what type of, fake shallow depth of field they will be able to provide in the future. I mean, think about it. They now have, the front facing slow motion. That's kind of a big deal. That's kind of dope. Instead of getting a photo booth at your wedding, you can sit your iPhone there and do slow motion front facing with one click of a button throwing confetti. Just an idea. But think about with the 3 lenses, if they can create a portrait mode for video, or they can create artificial shallow depth of field on video, what does that do to all of the guys who don't understand that if I just shoot at f2.8, I got shallow depth of field? There's a lot of people that you'd be surprised how many people ask me how to get the background blurry, but that's a whole nother subject. But just think about it's removing your need to learn more about the industry to create great content. That is scary. That is very scary for those of you who make a living, in this industry. It's like the Uber to a cab driver. So you have to be mindful of this technology, and you either need to beat it by creating better content. You don't want to compete in value, because then you're getting $1 a photo and you can't pay bills that way. So it's time for you professionals to pay attention to what Apple is doing. The writing is on the wall for a lot of camera companies. I don't see a reason to purchase a point and shoot no more. I just don't get it. When people ask me what camera to take on their vacation, I'm like, the one that's in your pocket. So just pay attention. I'm not saying it's game over, but a company like Filmic Pro may be the future. I mean, it may be the future compared to a company like Canon. And that's a big stretch that sounds crazy, but it may not sound as crazy in about 5 years. So be mindful of it. And, you got to pay attention to these things. These are changes or shifts in the industry that you had a chance to see coming, but you snubbed your nose at it thinking like digital will never offer the quality of film, not for photos or for filming, for movies. They'll never switch from film because the image quality is good. People actually thought that. I know people who think we're going back to film. When you go in your camera store, there's always some old guy with some old Nikon that's like, Nikon's created the best camera since 1982, and I would never buy a Sigma lens. Listen, the last generation of photographers or videographers were not tech people. Cameras were not tech. Now, cameras and tech are one. So, camera industry is taking on tech rules, which means it doubles every 18 to 12 months. It's just a tech thing. If you're a guy like, I'm not touching computers, I don't want to be technical, I just want to be a photographer, you won't make it. You have to be an IT guy. You have to be able to know how to work 10 different software applications, and go through the menus and be a tech guy with plugins and stuff to be successful at content creating. So understanding that it's merging into a tech industry, you have to understand that a tech company will eventually take over this industry. It's just going to happen. Apple is leading the way, and you have to pay attention to it. All right, guys, look, if you learned anything in this video, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and take a look at this right here. So let me guess, your passion is this, and you want to attract this or this, so you can make more of this, but your portfolio or demo reel is not this. I've worked for these companies in the past. When it comes to finding a job or getting the attention of potential clients, a demo reel or portfolio with random clips and music won't cut it. And that's why I created this. The 5 key steps for creating an effective demo reel that converts. It's an online course designed to show you how to market your skills and past experience and create a video portfolio that's designed to blow away your competition and 10x your results. Remember, if you can't tell your story, how do you expect someone to hire you to effectively tell their story? Enroll today at Flash Film Academy. It's time to turn passion into profit.